So, welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today, I have Mark Babbitt and Ted Coiné. Hi, Mark. Hi, Ted. How you doing?
Adrian, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. That was Ted, I believe.
It was Ted, yes.
I'm signposting. I'm audio signposting for our listeners. You see, and Mark, you're there too.
I am here too. Thanks for having us on today.
You're very welcome. So, could you, for the benefit of our listeners and readers, Ted, can you tell us a bit about yourselves and a bit about the work that you do?
Mark, Age Before Beauty.
Oh, again? Okay. All right. So I am Mark Babbitt. I'm the CEO and founder of a talent community called uturn.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also the president of switchandshift.com, which is a leadership blog focused on helping leaders with engagement, culture, and customer service issues, and specifically helping them go from the industrial age management style that they probably learned in business school and from their mentors to the social age leadership style where we talk about in A World Gone Social.
Okay. And Ted, do you want to give us a bit of a thumbnail sketch on yourself?
So I founded Switch and Shift with our third partner, Sean Murphy, a few years ago. This year we're going to hit probably 1 million unique visitors, and the reason is that there is a need in the collective psyche for change back to a more human way of doing business. So for about 5 years, Mark and I, first individually, then together, have been writing this book, A World Gone Social, talking about what all that change is. Mm-hmm. I've been, I've started 3 different endeavors. That's Switch and Shift is the third. So I've been an entrepreneur since 2001. Mm-hmm. And I have a passion, just like you do, Adrian, for customer service as a business differentiator, as well as just the right thing to do.
Fantastic.
They're both very important.
Now,
and I'm really looking forward to talking about this.
Fantastic. I mean, I think the reason we were introduced and got put together was by Stan Phelps, who's another blogger, another person who's banging the drum, as it were. One of our sort of loose collective, you could say. And he told me that you recently published a book called A World Gone Social, How Companies Must Adapt to Survive, which, Ted, you just mentioned then. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the book and how it came about and why you wrote it?
Mark, go ahead. I don't want to be a pig.
A World Gone Social came to us through our own experience. We realized at some point as we were growing our communities, U-Turn and Switch and Shift, and helping other leaders grow their communities, how much of a seismic shift had occurred and how different it was to lead in this business climate versus just 5 or 6 years ago, before social became such an important part of our lives and our work. And so Ted had actually already arranged to write the book with our publisher, and as the more Ted and I worked together and the more we talked, the more we realized that we came at this from frankly a very different point of view. Ted was very much involved in the C-suite, board of directors, leadership issues, and I was very involved in the ground up. I was helping careerists that hadn't even graduated college yet, and helping them embrace the social world. So we realized that an amazing partnership existed between the two of us, and we had to write the book together.
Okay, and I mean, before we're going to go on, can we step back a little bit and can you help me kind of understand what you mean by social? Because that's kind of a big word, and it's been a word that's been bandied around for a number of years, and a lot of people will think, or a lot of people may think, when we talk about social, they'll think about social media and things, but I suspect it's more than that, or you mean more than that. Is that right?
Very much more than that. So here's the thing, and we'll defer to our mutual friend, Stan Phelps, is a marketer, and he knows an awful lot about social media marketing as part of his trade. We are not telling people how to set up a Facebook campaign that's guaranteed to go viral. There are enough books on the market about that type of thing, some of which are excellent, and there are others. What this book is, it's a business leadership book, a how-to, and what you're facing in the social age.
Right.
So what we noticed is that about 2008, there was a critical mass of people using social media where it really was beginning to affect business outcomes in a tremendous way. So it was no longer just kind of a cute thing going on the side that people, adults could laugh at.
Right.
Or as Mark says, his high school kids weren't doing their homework; they were on Facebook. Around 2008, people started flexing their muscles because there were enough people connecting. They were having conversations about brands, and that's what we're witnessing right now. We're having conversations about our company and our leadership and our employer brand, whether we are participating in those conversations or not.
Sure.
So the social age really is the nice thing about it. The thing that we both love the best is that we have gone back to the type of community where people are talking to people. It isn't brands talking at the masses.
Okay.
That worked really well in the industrial age when our ability to communicate went from, the business we did in the village square to, the mass market. And there were just these huge economies of scale. Well, now there's huge economies of scale, but they're diseconomies.
Right.
Because if you're broadcasting at people, nobody's listening.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking to each other.
Okay. But in that, and then you go into the book, but I must admit that, or confess, if you like, that I haven't read it sort of like cover to cover and kind of every last kind of word. But I, in the process of preparing for this, I sort of went through the book to get a real sort of understanding of what the book was about, because I didn't really want to spoil the, if you like, my level of curiosity and spoil the interview, because then I can still remain curious as well. But I know that in the book you talk about what it means to lead and the different challenges that leaders face in the new social age. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about what do you think is different and what those big challenges are?
Well, Adrian, I think one of the biggest issues that Ted and I see, and certainly as we were writing the book, and now that we're helping leaders progress from the industrial age to the social age leadership style, the biggest difference is that we weren't taught any of this stuff. Right? I mean, take our top level executives.
Yeah.
We were taught that we ruled with an autocratic style, that we didn't really have to communicate with employees and customers. We had people that did that for us.
Right.
And we insulated ourselves from much of the business process, including reality. We had 23 layers of management between us and the customer. We got to go into our board of directors and tell them how great everything was going, and that's kind of the perch that we like to sit on.
Yeah.
And what we're finding out in the social age, Adrian, is while there are still some CEOs doing that, obviously, and their stock price and their performance dictate that in a lot of cases. What we're finding is that now we're saying, you know what, you've never been asked to be a communicator, you've never been asked to be an authentic personality, but in the social age, that's kind of becoming a competency. We want the leaders of the brands that we are passionate about to be available to us, at least on a minimal level. We're not best friends or anything, but we want to see that you're out there doing the right thing, and that you're promoting good, and you're not just worried about the almighty dollar or only pleasing your stakeholders. We want to know that you have some social responsibility bones in your body, and that's a big difference. And we came to the conclusion as we were writing A World Gone Social, Adrian, that leadership, social leadership, will be a competency, and if you're not willing to do it, then your replacement will, because this is definitely the direction the world's going.
Can you tell me a little bit more about when you talk about that this social leadership and it being a competency? I mean, does it break down into sort of different sort of layers or like sub-competencies, or is it just more of a case of being a bit more open as a personality and a bit more approachable and communicative and all of those different sort of like things, rather than it just being about things that are coming from a very much command and control sort of type of style of management?
Well, you've just hit You've just hit the nail on the head, Adrian. That is it exactly. And it doesn't mean that we're all going to be on Twitter all the time instead of running our companies. That's not what it means.
Okay.
It does mean that when a situation goes viral, either good or bad, that we're aware, that we're nimble enough to adapt to it, that we understand that we can't just get our PR teams and our legal teams and we have a little mini crisis on our hands or a big crisis on our hands. Let's go to legal, let's go to PR, and let's prepare a statement. No, in the social age, we expect our CEO to get on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, and say, wow, it looks like we might have messed up here, and we got this. I own this. We're fixing this as we speak. Here's how. And that's what we expect from our leadership now.
Okay. I mean, Ted, I think is the we talk about leadership and things, but actually surely it's much more than that. It's about organizations as well. We talk about agile leadership, but surely it's more about we need to move towards. It starts with the leadership, but we need to build agile organizations. Surely.
Absolutely. So one of our just examples that just stunned us actually, as we were kind of nearing the end of the book, we went to an IBM event and we talked to some IBMers there and learned what they're actually doing at that company. They have over 400,000 employees. And what their new CEO, Ginny, said was, okay, there are three main businesses that we are focused on. Engagement, which is mobile plus social, that is one of the three. Yeah. And we're just, I don't know if she phrased it this way, probably not. She's much smoother than I am, but we're idiots if we are not leveraging all of the people, the smart brain power that we have at this company and getting them building our brand online every day. Sure. So they very consciously taught groups of individuals, because you have to, make sure that people know what they're doing, to use social, and then it's up to them whether they do or not, but they feed them things that might be of interest to their followers, their LinkedIn connections, etc. So each day when you're at IBM, you can say, here's a blog post about cloud computing, and I'm a cloud researcher. Let me share this with the people who follow me on Twitter who are all about the cloud. So boom, there you go. Yeah. Well, that's one thing that they do really, really well. So instead of 400,000 people with 200 of them representing the brand online in any capacity, instead it's 400,000 people with 400,000 representing the brand online in all sorts of capacities all the time. And that is such a savvy business move that SAP with their 66,000 employees is making that same move. Zappos with their 1,500 employees has been doing this actually for a while, long before IBM got involved. So these are social businesses. Yeah. And it's just smart.
I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it is smart. It also kind of makes me think. I mean, I sort of tend to boil things down to the simple common denominator, and it sort of makes me think that, well, if your employees aren't willing to advocate for you, how can you expect your customers to advocate for you?
And that really gets down to the heart of the matter. So if you don't treat people well within your company, your vendors, people in your community, and your customers, if you don't treat them well, they're not going to advocate for you.
Sure.
Customers only brag about the companies that really, really spoil them rotten. They don't tell their friends about the average service they have.
Yeah.
And they're liable to jump ship. One of the guys that we talked to for this book that we interviewed said, I can't afford satisfied customers. I need them to be incredibly extra satisfied, engaged with us, and they can't think about going anyplace else.
Right.
And he said he shared a tweet from one of his clients who said, now when I talk to a new vendor, I ask them, do you tweet? And that's all because of you. You are on social answering my question. This company caters to CIOs.
Right.
They sell very expensive equipment that competes with Cisco. Well, guess what? It's worth the CMO's time to be building these relationships because the competitor is not doing that. That's how you lock people in for life.
That company's not Enterasys Networks, is it?
It is. They just changed their name. They were merged with a company now. They're called Extreme Networks, and the example. So Bala Afshar has been a friend for years,
and he's been a guest on here as well twice.
Oh, okay, good. So he's
excellent.
Yeah.
So he's a good
doing
guy.
It right.
He's definitely one of the enlightened ones, and definitely leading the vanguard of things. But they do some amazing things with how they approach this whole issue, and I think it's. I mean, Vala is great. He leads from the front, I think, and some of the culture and things that they're developing there is tremendous, and they're having tremendous success and punching way above their weight in terms of what they can deliver, and also how they can compete with people like Cisco, who are probably 10 or 20 times their size.
They spend much more on marketing each year than the total revenues of Vala's company. Right. So when Extreme goes against Cisco, they need to differentiate themselves, and they're doing it really well. But here's the other thing, so we're talking about the customers need to be engaged. Well, guess what? Your employees aren't going to represent your brand. They're just going to say nothing. They're going to be satisfied at best. And satisfied will leave if you don't treat them well. And so social plays into every conceivable aspect of the business, every role of the business. As Mark pointed out, people have phones. There's no phone department. People have email. There's no email department. There shouldn't be a social department, and probably pretty soon there won't be. Okay. Certainly by 2020, we won't be talking about social media and social business. We'll just be talking about business.
So, Mark, I mean, I think that in Ted's example about IBM and things and building their culture, I mean, obviously there's an essential foundational element, which is the education in helping people learn new skills about and how to manage new things. But surely there's a key element in there that follows on from that, or possibly even precedes that, and that is you have to trust people, right?
Well, yes, and if we don't have trust, and trust, Adrian, can come in many different forms, and we've given examples of it already. You think of a Zappos Container Store, even JetBlue Airlines here in the United States. These companies that from the very beginning cared about how their customers thought about them.
Yeah.
So it was very easy for them to roll into social. They already had the trust banked.
Yeah.
It was already there.
Yeah.
Right now think about other brands that maybe didn't quite have that level of 5-star service that made the transition to social easy. Take Northern Telecom, for instance. Not even a consumer facing business in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Not exactly known here in the U.S. for their gourmet food, right? But they are doing amazing things on social, and they're building that trust. They're building a sense of community. And I know some of your listeners might be thinking, how can you build a community around a taco? Well, you don't. You build community around brand loyalty and around customer service and around treating people right. It's not about the food. Just like, honestly, when you talk about Zappos, it's not about the shoes.
Yeah.
It's about feeling like you're well taken care of, especially compared to your competitors. And that's the differentiator. And it all starts, to your point, Adrian, with trust.
And do you think that actually this idea of, your idea of moving towards more social leadership in a social organization and involving everybody into it, I mean, is that, if you like, what we talk about, how many people talk about how we're in a customer age now, and the power of the customer, and that customer service and customer experience is becoming the key competitive differentiator. I mean, is being social, do you think that's possibly a precursor to it, that you almost have to be social before you can do the full-blown 5-star service and experience?
Well, I think 5-star customer service is important. I think social is important, and talking about engagement and active listening and all this stuff that goes into that. But I think even more important, Adrian, is that we want our leaders to be, as you said earlier, approachable, accessible, authentic. Although I'm really starting to despise that buzzword, authentic.
I hate that word.
To be honest with you, but there's no better word for it. Let's call it honest.
Yeah.
For rather than authentic, but I also think that we just want to listen. I mean, think about politics, both in the United Kingdom and the U.S., one of our biggest complaints about our politicians and our government leaders is they don't seem to be accessible.
Yeah.
Right. They seem a little out of touch. Right. And our president a few years ago, and we use this example in the book, he didn't even know how much a gallon of milk costs. And, in a terrible economic time for the U.S., he was completely detached from reality.
Sure.
And those kind of leaders, they're not getting the job done right now. You can't be detached. You can't sit up in your silo and have that, let them eat cake mentality. That just is not getting the job done anymore.
Sure. So, I mean, if somebody was listening to this and saying, right, I have to change, or we have to change, we have to make this sort of step. I mean, where does a leader or an organization start with this? I mean, it's because it just feels like this could be one. It's a mindset change, possibly a mountain to climb. I mean, where would you advise people to start with this? Does it start with changing your thinking, or is it start with actions and behaviors?
Our number one piece of advice for the very top of leaders, if they want to catch up to the social age and pivot from the industrial age into what people are doing in business today, and not just with marketing, but running their businesses. If you want to be around by 2020, our advice is the C-suite has to go social. They have to at least know what they're talking about. It's without question the best, besides just customer engagement, actually speaking with them on social. It's just a great source of unfiltered intelligence in real time about your company, about your competitor's company, about the industry. It's a great way to find out where there are gaps that are not being served right now. And if your competitor is not on social, boom, there you go. It's worth its weight in gold for you to be on social, just listening. Before you send your first tweet, just find out what people are saying. That alone, turning that into a competency, is we've heard from leaders. We have it in our book that it's going to be one of the top 5 CEO skills in the next several years. Okay. And if you think about that, a board of directors will replace its CEO every 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So if the current CEO, and that's on average, of course, so some last 20 years and some last 6 months. If the current CEO is not skilled on social, maybe that's okay. And if they have somebody on the executive council who is, okay, good, perfect. But when that board finds a replacement, one of the things they're going to be looking for is for social fluency.
Right.
The other half to your answer, so where does a company start? Is start small and get it done right.
Okay.
Say you're a local manager, you're not the CEO of your multinational corporation, but you are department manager for one of your branches. Run social there, get it done right, and help socialize it throughout the company. Help it proliferate by showing some success. Saying this is what we've done, and these are the results we have. You might want to do what we did. That type of thing.
And could that start with, say, getting your sort of local employees and getting them, teaching them how to use Facebook and Twitter and start blogging and all that sort of stuff, so then they can become advocates for the company and start telling their stories, as it were? Is that the sort of thing you mean? Or what?
Yeah, that's it exactly. It's one of the best parts about the social age. Every other major change in our leadership style for the last several decades anyway has been a top-down structure, right? Yeah. We're gonna move to total quality management or the latest ISO. It's always been dictated by manufacturing concerns and certainly came from the C-suite. The best thing about social leadership is it doesn't matter if you're leading a team of 6 or 600,000.
Sure.
You can jump on board on this. And as to Ted's point, if you quantify, if you track your progress along the way, how many customers did you save? How many relationships did you build? How many dollars in returns did you avoid? Right? How many buys bought from you after they talked to you? Maybe it was even a disgruntled customer, but just by engaging with them, you turned them around and they bought something. Well, how much is that worth?
Yeah.
Right? So if you quantify these little steps, then you don't need to wait for permission to be a social leader. You can just go do it. And we talked about Vala Afshar earlier. One of the things I loved when I was talking to Vala and to some of his team members is they never once asked for permission to be social. They just started doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that like that old kind of like saying that you're what is it? This is like is it better to ask for forgiveness or for permission or for forgiveness?
Well, that's it exactly. That's it exactly. And as long as you can demonstrate your progress and show how many happy customers and how many more dollars in revenue you've generated, there's not a leader. I mean, it could be the oldest, most curmudgeon-y guy up on the 62nd floor, and he could be the biggest grouch in the world, the biggest old school leader in the world. And when he sees results, he or she is not going to say, you know what, stop doing that.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Results speak for themselves. So, yeah, so that's great advice. Start small, make progress, generate some results, and then start to talk about it, I guess.
Absolutely. And another important advice is actually train people. Don't just tell them, get on social.
Yeah.
Because they might do a really bad job, of course. Teach them how.
Yeah,
and if you don't know how in-house, you probably have some experts right in-house, so it'll be free. Just ask them to do what they love, which is share their passion for social. But if you don't have it in-house, get somebody get an outside consultant to come in and set up a training program. It's a great skill. One of our friends, Ted Rubin, said this. He pointed out, what better skill can you give somebody? Better than, here's another extra day of vacation. An extra day off is nice. Mm-hmm. Training in a skill that will carry throughout your career is a lot nicer.
Yeah, it's an investment in them, isn't it?
Exactly. They'll thank you for it.
So, gentlemen, before we kind of go through the book word for word, I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to add before... Are there any top tips before I ask you the question that I always ask the people that I invite on the podcast? Any top tips or any kind of final sage advice that you want to share with our listeners and readers? Mark?
I'll share a tip that seems to really be it's hit home for a lot of leaders, regardless of their level or their title. And that's a concept in the book that actually Ted initially constructed called OPEN.
Okay.
And OPEN is an acronym for Ordinary People Extraordinary Network. And what that allows us to do in the social age, Adrian, is especially if you're a leader, but even if you're just a collaborator or you have a challenge to meet or a problem to solve, an open collaboration means that you don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
You don't have to have that command and control approach to a situation where you say, I'm the leader, I'm supposed to have all the answers, I must go fix this problem, and I'm going to tell everybody exactly what to do to fix this problem. Instead, through this open circle, we can go to our entire team. We can even construct a special team and say, here's the challenge we have in front of us. Here's our immediate problem. We want to solve this. We want to respond to this in X amount of time. What do you got?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Right? And we call on the expertise of all of those around us, not just the board of directors, not just the C-suite, not just the $300 an hour consultant, but everybody around us. And we say, here's what we got.
Yeah.
Let's work on this. So we'd really like people to consider that we, in the social age, we don't have to be that all-knowing, all-encompassing leader or collaborator or innovator. We can say, I don't know the answer, but I know who does, and I'm gonna get the right people in the room. We're gonna fix this.
And it's just about getting stuff done, right?
Yeah, you used the word stuff. I tend to use a different word, but yes, stuff works really well.
Yeah, the one that begins with S and ends in T.
Yes,
yes. Ted, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, just to build on what Mark said, not to add to it, actually, this is adding to it. Sorry, to build on what Mark said. So the real question in your company's future is how powerful is your network? Who is in your extraordinary network? How willing are they to help you when you call?
Right.
What kind of talent have you got? That has everything to do with building long-term relationships and nothing to do with putting up a post on Facebook about a 20% discount.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's a good point. So it's actually your value will be measured in the value of your network, as it were.
Exactly. And the only way that they're going to help you is if you are, as Mark terms it, a relentless giver, which is my favorite term from the whole book.
Fantastic. So, gentlemen, my final question is always this, and I can guess what it's going to be, but see if you can surprise me. Is there anything that you would like to shamelessly plug?
Plug away, Mark.
Well, as you might have noticed, we have this book with a red cover on it called "The World Gone Social" that we would love everybody to buy and to read. But Adrian, even if they don't, one of the things that Ted and I really pride ourselves on is we have a website out there, worldgonesocial.com. We're both always, it seems, on Twitter. You can find us on switchandShift.com and uturn.com. But we enjoy conversation. We enjoy that engagement. We enjoy talking and sharing of ideas. So even if you don't buy the book, we hope you'll reach out and talk to us about the challenges that you might be having as you transition from industrial age to social leadership. Let's have a conversation.
Fantastic. Ted, anything?
Oh, that's it. That's it. We've got one thing to offer the world, and it's our book, which, by the way, on worldgonesocial.com, don't even give us your money. Free first chapter. If you like the first chapter, we can talk.
Excellent. Gentlemen, that's been brilliant. It's been a pleasure. And thank you so much for, telling us the story of your book and sharing your insights. And it's been a really fantastic, lovely conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having us, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.